Hey, it's Melissa here with Web of Creativity, and this video is the construction video of the Dessert Mini Albums. These albums fit perfectly inside the cookie/dessert jar project. Now, I used the Graphic 45 Cafe Parisian papers, the patterns and the solids. And this video is a full construction video. I usually make page construction. This one is going to be for the full album, including the cover, the pages, the binding, the matting. So it's a full video. So these albums are 4 pages a piece, but they're kind of thick. So I'm going to first zoom in to show you some details, show you the pages, and then we'll get started. So we got some die cuts to start off with, some cutouts from the collection, some pearls, and then the flowers that comes with the collection, that matches the collection, and then the stickers. The kits for the projects has everything included. You get the pearls and the flower sets, the sticker sets, the 2 paper collections, all that good stuff. So real quick, I'm going to show you the 2 dies that I used for this project. They're both Spellbinder dies. This one is Labels 21. And this Spellbinder is Card Creators, and it's A2 Valiant Honor. I hope I said that right. And I used mainly this piece and this piece on every page. So we're gonna go ahead. The album is 5.5 by 8. So let's go ahead and show you. I do have a preview video of this album up, but I'm going to go ahead and go through it again. So we got some tags with the little cutouts. This is the Bear album. I don't have all the decorations on it, but I will, and then I'll post some pictures when I fully get stickers. And I fussy cutted some pieces out, like these pieces on this paper collection, along with some cupcakes and stuff. So this will fold up, and then I try to have it look kind of like a cabinet. So here are cabinet doors, like kitchen cabinet. So you can do pictures or recipes. So this would be cute for like dessert recipes. And then this would be like a pantry cabinet. That was the idea behind it. And they have these cutout pieces in the paper collection that are 4x6, perfect for a 4x6 mat. 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 mat. It's a long, it's long, so it doesn't really fit all the way in the camera view. And all the pages are pictured in the written tutorial. So I have a written tutorial on my blog and kits. The kits are for the full project, which it makes 2 mini albums and the dessert cookie jar. Alright, one thing left. And the back cover. So, again, these are 4 pages a piece. And let's get started. We'll start with the cover. So we're going to be working on the cover. I've already cut out all the pieces. So you need 3 pieces of chipboard, the front cover, the back cover, and the spine. And 2 sheets to cover it. The long sheet is going to be for the front and the spine, and then we'll attach the back sheet onto this one and continue on. So we're going to go ahead and set the back side away, and this is going to be the front, so I'm going to flip it over. I've already added tape to my pieces. So we're going to start with I forgot to add a strip right here. So let me add a strip, an extra strip of tape on my spine. We're going to start with our front cover piece. And we're going to attach, so it is a 1/2 inch from the bottom and a 1/2 inch from both sides. That's usually enough to fold over. Sometimes I do add, instead of a 1/2 inch, I do 5/8 of an inch, so I can use a thicker piece of tape on this side. So if I only do a 1/2 inch, I only use a 1/4 inch tape on this side. But if I do 5/8, then I use the 3/8 inch tape or a 1/2 inch tape. So again, it's going to be about 1/2 inch on all 3 sides. So I'm going to remove my tape. Now if you want a little bit of extra security, because I have score tape on this, I'll take my ATG and add a couple of extra strips. Alright, so we'll attach a 1/2 inch from the bottom. I marked mine. You can use a ruler to guide. Alright, next piece is going to be your spine piece. I use a spacer to space where it's going to go. My spacer is two pieces of chipboard together. So I'm just going to hold my spacer in place and then line up the spine with the front and back. So let me take my tape off. I'm just removing the tape backing. Okay. So again, holding the spacer and then lining up your spine piece to both sides. So the next piece is going to be the back side, but we're going to go ahead and attach this guy to it first. So I'm just always double measure, check your measurements. So I'm just checking. So I'm going to attach it using some 3/8 inch tape. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to put it right along the bottom. And make sure you attach it the right way. So that's going to be the front cover. So you want it to face going this way so you know where to attach it. So I'm going to attach, I'm just looking to make sure that's going to be even. making sure it looks straight. And now I'm going to attach my last piece. So I'm going to remove my tape. Add some extra adhesive. And again, use my spacer. So we're going to go ahead and space. I'm going to try not to be off screen, but I'm trying to look at the other side. Make sure that's even. I'm going to run my bone folder across it. Okay, next we're going to add tape along the sides here, just to the edge of the chipboard. Alright, now that we got that done, we're going to trim the corners. So I'm getting my cutting mat. I'm going to do a close-up shot. What I do is using the ruler and my craft knife. This is Martha Stewart's. It's real dirty. I use it a lot. And we're going to cut so it's about 1/8 inch from the corner of the chipboard. So let me see if I can get that to focus. So we're just going to do it at an angle. And if you use a Tim Holtz ruler, let's see if I can get that to focus. The first dotted line right here is 1/8 of an inch. And this is 1/4. So you want the 1/8 of an inch, and you're going to cut. You can add a little extra if you want. Just make it at an angle. It doesn't have to be a perfect angle, just an angle. And so you have that space right there. And we're going to do that to all of the corners. And if you're trimming the corners, it's better to have too much than not enough. But you can always ink to cover up any imperfections. Alright, so next, let me get a wider view. Before we attach, I like to roll the paper to start off with. So this just folds it a little bit just to get an even stick. So all I'm doing is just rolling it around the chipboard. There's other ways to do that if you don't want to roll. You can take your bone folder, lift, and then just run it behind, and that'll give you your fold too. So we're going to start off with attaching the long edges first, and then we'll tuck in our corners. So let's, and because one of the corners, you want to fold back some tape to get that to access to that corner. So, because you've already folded it, you already have a good fold area. So you just stick it down in the middle, lightly stick so it's even. Then I take my bone folder and I stop before I hit this area that's sensitive because there's no chipboard there. So I just run it along the edge, stop, run it, stop, run it. Then I do the same thing but on the top. Stop before I get to that crease. Alright. So then we're going to do the other side. So again, run the bone folder, stop, stop. So we're hopping over that spot. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and zoom back in and show you tucking the corner in. See if I can get that to focus. There we go. So we have this extra piece that hangs over a little bit. That way we can just tuck it in. So I just use my bone folder and fold it over. So we'll do the same thing to the other side. So it's up against that chipboard piece. Then remove that tape backing. And we can fold over. Now if you wanted to, you could have inked the corner right here before you put it down. Or you can do it afterwards. Either way, I tend to forget, so I do it afterwards. So again, I'm going to go ahead and push down on those corners. Move the tape. So now we have some nice clean, nice clean corner. So next is the inside. but I'm going to go ahead and crease these first. So what I do is I like to just hold it down, because sometimes if you don't hold it down, it'll pop. This section will pop up instead of inside that crease, and you want it to go inside. So that's just, there we go. Alright, so the inside, you can do two different ways. You can have 3 sheets. So you have one spine area that's a different color, and then insides are different. So in the tutorial I do have those measurements in there if you want to do it that way. This way I'm doing something different. The first, I have 2 of these albums. So the first one, that's how I did it with the 3 pieces. This one I'm going to have my back be a solid color with my spine area, and then the front is going to be a different color. So I'm going to start with the back. So before doing that, I want to make sure this area is the securest. So we're going to add tape to the spine area on the inside of the crease and the outside. So I'm going to turn it, because your paper doesn't go all the way to the edge, neither should your tape. So I just make sure the tape overlaps a little bit. This way there's no bubbling when it's folded. If there's no tape here, then it'll bubble. Now I'm going to add tape to the inside of the spine. Again, this is the one that you want the most secure. I just used my 3/8 inch, and this is my 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to add tape to just the outside edges of this. So I'm going to stop the video. Hold on. Alright, so for taping the long piece, I just placed it to see where I need the extra tape to go. So I put an extra piece here and then a couple here. I didn't need it to overlap any of the spine area. So I'm going to remove the tape backing and then probably just add a couple of strips of the ATG on this side. So let me go ahead and take off all this tape backing. So when placing this, it's going to be, you're going to have about a 1/8 inch border all the way around. Let me take off all this tape. And again, I'm going to add some ATG. We're going to do the 1/8 inch border. We're going to start at the bottom and then work our way up. I'm going to turn this so I can see it. If you're using a directional paper, make sure that you have it, that this is the front cover and that you have it facing the right direction. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape backing off of this piece. And we're going to add some ATG. Just going to do an X. Alright. So this is the same thing, 1/8 inch border. You almost have to hold your breath to get that in place right. Alright, so I'm going to... Okay, again, holding down where that crease is going to be so nothing bubbles. And it shouldn't bubble anyways because of the extra tape that you put on the sides. So we're just going to fold it up slowly. And we're going to do the same thing with this side. There we go. If you want it to, once you play with it more, it's going to stay down. But if you just slowly, because you don't want to crack that paper. There you go. And that's the cover. For the pages, this album only has one page style, so I cut out all the pieces and scored them. This is for the front of the page. So we're going to start with the biggest piece, which has 2 little score lines in the middle. So we're just going to fold on the score line. Sometimes when score lines are close together, they don't fold very well. So, you can use a ruler as a guide. Okay, so that's our base page right there. So the front of this page gets 2 flaps. Now these flaps need to be trimmed. When you score these 2 flaps, because they're mirrored images, you need to make sure that you score them so they're mirrored. So what we're going to do is, we have one side that is smaller than the other side. So the so we're going to cut off with the larger side being on the outside. We're going to cut this. This is our connecting strip to our page. This gets cut. This bottom part will get cut. And this is our tab to fold over to make a pocket. So we got 2 pieces that get cut off. And the opposite's going to be for this side. So the larger scored section, and then the opposite bottom smaller scored section. So they're going to be mirrored image. So let's get trimming. So we're going to follow the score line. and stop at this cross score line, and then we're going to just taper it off, which is cutting at an angle. So that part gets cut off, then this bottom section is going to be tapered too, so might as well just get that cut off. So here is our continuous score line, and this is our tab. Then this top section on the smaller side is going to get attached to the page, so this bottom section will get cut off. I'm going to turn it over. Follow the score line. And again, we're going to taper. And the bottom or the top section will be tapered as well. And there is our right flap. So again, cut off the larger and the smaller. I'm going to turn this around. See if I can see. It's hard to see the score line and where I'm cutting. So then this will be tapered off, and the bottom corner will be tapered. Last piece. Alright, so now you see how the pages look. Oh, there I am. So these two pieces will attach to the page. So this is a pocket. So we're going to go ahead and fold on the score lines and add our tape. So we're going to fold on this score line. And then add tape to it. And we're going to go ahead and fold this one. And add our tape. So I have two size tapes because I have two different size tabs. So we have one last score line across the bottom. So I'm going to open that back up. This gets folded up. And this is our pocket. So we're going to go ahead and remove the tape. Fold it up to create our pocket. So do the same on this side. I'm going to fold the long my tape is almost out. So I'm going to move this tab over so I can flip this up. And then remove the tape, create my pocket. Oops. So now we have our two flaps taped up. So we're going to make the front page, how it opens to the left, as our piece. So this flap right here will attach flush to the bottom and to the side. And then the second one, we will line up straight, attaching to the first one, flush, and then down. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, flush to the bottom, right up on that side. And then this one's gonna butt right up against it. And then use the bone folder to get that good crease. So there is our first flap, and then we have just these little tags that go right in there. The tags, I use a angle corner chomper, which I'll get that when we do the matting. So the inside just gets these flaps, and then we add a tab to them. So I'm going to use the envelope punch board for these tabs, but you can cut this 3/4 or a 1/2 inch shorter and add your own tabs. There are other ways to create your own tabs. So I've used the Spellbinders tab set 1. Has 5 different types of tabs in there. I didn't use it for this album, but I have used it in the past. This time I'm going to use the envelope board by Memory. We Are Memory Keepers. So with that, two tabs will be on one side and 2 tabs will be on the other side. So to start off, what I do, I take my ruler and I set it so it's at 1/4 of an inch, and slide this in to 1/4 of an inch. Make sure your score line at the bottom is at the bottom. So I line it up at 1/4 of an inch, and I have it so it's lined up with this piece right here. So let me try and do that again. 1/4. Then I slide over to 2.5 inches on this side. And there's one tab. So I'm going to do, again, 1/2 inch. Two and a half. So for the second 2 sheets, I just flip them over and repeat. You can do them all the same side. Alright. Let me go out. And we're going to go ahead and trim off. So let's get mat and my ruler. So we're going to trim off the two pieces that aren't the tab. So we just line up the ruler where the two valley pieces are, line those up. Have your ruler straight, and we're going to go ahead and trim to the valley. So you're just going to do that, repeat that on all of them. When they're all trimmed, you could have it so two's one way and two's the other, or all four of them are the same. Mix them up. So what we do next is we'll take the tab piece, score it, fold on the score line, and then we're going to taper, which is cut up an angle to the score line. And we're going to do that to all the pieces, and then we're going to add our tape. So go ahead and fold on all the tab line, on all the score lines, and taper and add your tape. Once all your pieces are prepped, we're going to attach the two tabbed on the right to the top and then two tabbed on the left on the bottom. So this first flap gets attached flush to the top and about 1/8 of an inch on both sides. So I'm going to turn this upside down so I can see it being attached flush to the top. And I'm just eyeballing it, but you can use a ruler. Again, it's 1/8 of an inch on both sides. You can see that little mark. Alright, so this one's going to get attached the same. Let me Alright, now for the bottom two, we're going to attach that 1/8 and then the same 1/8 at the bottom and then the top from the first piece. It's harder to see because of the cream color, but it's 1/8 and then 1/8 from the bottom. So you're pretty much centering it on that space. So let me let's do 1/8 on the bottom of the sides. There we go, that looks even. Alright, one last piece to go. I'm going to use this to hold those down. I'm going to do the same thing. Alright. Here we go. And then just take your bone folder and give it a good crease. And once these get matted, they lay down a lot better. So, front and side. Time for doing the back side. Alright, the backside pieces are pretty simple. There's only 3 of them. So you have two of the longer ones. They're both scored for a tab. So you just fold on the tab, taper the corner, and add tape. So this is a flap, or a door flap, which is what I call it. And then same thing for the second one. Alright, then we have the smaller piece that's scored on both sides. This is a pocket piece, which is also a piece that's going to get your binding will go into this piece, this pocket piece. So we're going to go ahead and fold on both score lines, taper the corners, and add our tape. Okay. Now what you need to remember for the back side is these pages get flipped up. So attaching these flaps won't make a difference, but when you attach the pocket, you want to make sure you attach it to the right side. So again, the page flips up. So I'm going to go ahead and open it so I can attach. So if you've noticed, I like to place my piece before I even attach it. That's just to make sure that the size is right, that everything will fit smoothly. So your first piece will go flush to the edge, and this will connect flush to the first page and then get attached. So, and when you do that, you realize whether you've cut it wrong. And these pieces are about almost a fourth off. So one of my pieces is wrong. Alright, I didn't cut it wrong, I scored it wrong. So I got my new pieces already ready to go. So you learn that everybody makes mistakes. So when that gets attached flush to the page, your second piece will be flush to your first piece, and then that will get attached. So now everything looks good. I'll go ahead and remove my tape backing. Oops, from my piece. I'm going to turn this so I can see that it's going to go flush against that edge. So I want it flush against the top. And then this piece will go flush. So it'll be even with the top, bottom, and side. So I'm going to hold this down and place it. There we go. Now with the pocket, again, you have to remember that it gets flipped up. So this piece will be flipped up, and then your pocket will be at the bottom, which is where the binding will be, and that pocket will sit right in the middle, flush to the bottom, and these pieces will close. So let's go ahead and attach. Again, I'm going to open the page so it's more flat, so I can handle this. So again, straight flush at the bottom in between those two score lines of your flaps. So there's our pocket. So our binding will attach, will slide right in the bottom. There is our page. And next is matting. Alright, for matting purposes, I've used several things. We Are Memory Keepers, Angle, We Are Memory Keepers, Scallop, and We Are Memory Keepers 1/4 corner rounder. So I cut out all my mats for my page and my tag. I will take shortcuts where I can so it's not a completely boring video of me inking and taping. So we're going to start with the page has magnets to keep the flaps closed. So our main page, I have the top two corners. I used the scallop edge, and the bottom two I used the 1/4 corner. And the rest is just the 1/4 corner. So we got the full mats for the outside pocket, and then I have 4 little mats for the inside pocket. For the tags, I used the angle punch for the tag itself and for the mat. Alright, so I'm going to ink all my pages and tape them, and then I'll come back and attach them. So the ink that I used is Distress Ink Vintage Photo. Now I didn't do strong inking. I did real light inking. So I'll give you, so I just wanted to do the edge. So with that, I kind of angled my applicator and just went along the edge. I liked the paper itself was bright, so I didn't want to darken it up with a darker ink. Of course, if you choose a different paper, you can do a heavier inking, but this was just to cover that white edge to give it just a little bit of outline. I didn't need anything too strong. So just a light outlining. And if you want it even lighter than this edge, then do antique linen. Is more of like an off-white color that's a lot lighter than this. That would work. So I'm going to go ahead and ink everything, get it all taped, and then come back and attach it all. Alright, for matting, I added tape over my magnets. Now, these magnets taped as diagonal. You have to pay attention to where your mat's going to be. So you don't want to add tape past your mat line. So I have those at an angle. And these, it doesn't matter. So for matting, I'm going to use, my largest piece is taped. And then I'm going to use my ATG. So it's up to you whether you want to tape all your pieces or use your ATG. I definitely like tape on the larger pieces. So your main piece is going to attach with about a 1/8 inch border. And then do our inside pieces. This is going to be the same. It's a 1/8 inch border. I'm just giving it, making sure that the paper sticks around that magnet area. Now for the tags, I already attached the mats to these. I used some of the little dessert pieces out of the collection and cut them out and put them for a little tag topper. So this is just one set that I've already made and cut them out. So I thought that was a really cute idea. You can use other things that are in the collection as well. But something flat since it's inside. And then we'll go ahead and attach our outside pieces. Oh, and this is the same 1/8 inch border. Alright, and then our final piece, not our final piece, but our last piece, as our little decorations. This is a Spellbinder's die, and I glue these down. We're going to try and get it as centered. And I forgot my ruler. Alright, let's see if I can eyeball this. Oops. I'm using Craft Tacky Glue. And I'm just gluing all the little curly cues. Make sure those get all glued down. Alright. Oh! I slid that one. Pick it up to make sure it looks straight. Okay, so our last piece is a gem. I put a little pearl in the middle, and then I use, it does have some sticky on it, but I don't always trust those. I use my glossy accents. You can use the Craft Tacky Glue, but I prefer my glossy accents when attaching bling. Oh. So I just put a little dot in the middle because it does squeeze out, and I use my tweezers so I can better place it. There we go. And again, I just put a little dot in the middle for extra. Oops. Alright, moving on to the inside. I have 3 mats. So the outside mats, then the inside page mat, and then underneath it. So underneath it, I put it flush to the page before it and then attached down. So these background mats don't get punched, but these guys I use, I just use my 1/4 inch corner rounder, and I do that on all of them, and I don't do anything to the background one. So this is for the front of the flap and the back of the flap. So I'm going to go ahead and ink those in the same ink. and I'll be right back. So we're going to mat one of the flaps. And this is the same, it's a 1/8 inch border all the way around. And then we're going to do the back side. The same, it's 1/8 inch border. Now the background one is just a little bit different. I'm putting, just adding my adhesive. Alright, so this guy is going to go flush to the top of the next flap, and it's going to have the 1/8 inch border on both sides. So you're going to have it even with the flap. So you can see that it's even. And then it has a little spacing at the top. So that way when this is closed, you get that extra piece right there. I think it helps define that the end of the tab. So you do that for all 4 sections. So there is what it looks like all matted. The bottom pieces get flushed to the bottom. And of course the background gets flushed to the next flap. So that's the inside. Next we have the back side of the page. So these pages flip up. So when you're matting, you want to make sure you flip it upwards so it's not upside down. So these 2 flaps will have, it's kind of like a door is what I consider it, like cabinet doors. So there's my pieces and then my little cutouts, and then some strips. So for these pieces, we're just gonna 1/4 round these corners. And like I did with the front, I'm only going to go over, you know, rounding the corners, and then I'll ink off camera and then come back. So then these open, and we have a pocket down here. I have my 4 magnets. This just helps get them taken apart, so I have to still tape them. So here's our pocket. So for our pocket piece, we have a cutout from the collection, and then in 2 strips. And what I do with the strips is use the scallop side. And they will go underneath to take up some of that space over there. Then for the sides, I have 4 separate mats, and then these are going to get the scalloped edge. So we'll have 4 scalloped edge pieces, and then for the very background, this is just going to get the 1/4 quarter rounder. So this will be round, then our inside ones are going to be scalloped, and then our front is 1/4 round. and our accent pieces on the pocket are scalloped. And then we have left is just a tag. This is part of the collection. I just cut it out and made a mat for it. And then that'll just slide in there. So let me go ahead and ink and get my magnets taped, and I'll be right back. So we'll start with attaching the mats to the front of the page. And again, before you mat, you want to make sure that it's facing the right direction. So remember, the page goes this way. So I'm going to turn it so I can see it a little bit better. And it's going to get attached, so it's about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. And we're going to attach these strips 1/2 an inch from the bottom and 1/2 an inch from the top. So I'm just going to take my ruler, find my 1/2 inch, I'm going to turn this upside down so I can reach it better. Oops. I'm going to tape it to my desk. I'm going to turn it back right side out, and then these two I'm going to use some glue, and those are going to get put in the center. And before I press down on it, I'm going to measure to make sure it's close enough. It's not. Oops. I got a magnet in there, and my ruler is sticking to it. You could have done that the opposite way and measured first and then put a mark on where you want to put it. Alright, I'm going to glue the second piece. And I know I mentioned earlier, this is Craft Tacky Glue by Tonic. And these get little gems on them like the front, but we'll do that at the end. Alright. So for the sides, they're going to get matted 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And like I mentioned earlier, I like to place my pieces before I attach them, just so I have them, if some of them are matching, I want to make sure that I have them right in the right order, or sometimes you miscut. It's always good to double check before you put anything down. And if you're not good at eyeballing, you know, feel free to use a ruler and a light pencil mark. Alright, for the pocket we have these two pieces, which will get 1/8 from the edge, and then in the centered, which is a little more than 1/8. I'm going to say it's about 1/4. And this will be 1/8 from the top and bottom, and then you just center it. Alright, one last piece. I'm just adding my ATG off screen. Oh, let me stay on screen. This is gonna get and then the tag I already have. Now it's gonna sit higher. You don't push it all the way down. I'd hold off on putting the tag in there until you get this in the binding, since this is where it slides onto the binding. So that is that page, and then we have, let's get our little gems on there. If I can get my glossy accents to come out. Like I did with the front cover, I dabbed it with a little glossy accents in the middle, and then I'm just going to place it in the middle. There we go. And that finishes our back of our page and our front of our page. Next up, the binding. For the binding, there are 2 pieces that get scored 4 times. This binding is a variation of Stack the Deck binding by Laura Dennison with Following the Paper Trail. So the 2 pieces get taped on both edges, and you want it flush to the edge. You can see that it's not all the way against this score line right here. You want it flush against both edges. So it's going to be the same way with the smaller piece. And then again, all the cutting and the scoring is all in the tutorial. So when you flip, you want to add the same tape to both sides, again up against the edge, and then you want another set in between the score lines in the middle. So again, the edge and then in between the score lines. You don't want the tape to go over the score line, so just make sure it's inside that score line and out to the edge. So we're going to attach this first piece onto the second piece centered. So I'm going to just use my ruler as a guide. I'm going to remove the tape backing. And you want it flush to the top and bottom. I'm off camera. Okay. I'm a little bit off. I use it's a Cricut spatula. When things are just lightly put down and not pressed, it's one of the best tools to unstick something. So again, you just want that flush to the top and bottom and center. So you're going to have about ½ inch spacing in between each of your pieces. Alright, now to attach to the album, it's going to go in the spine area, and we're going to have it ½ inch from the back. And I drew a light line for me to follow, and it's going to be 1/8 inch from both sides. So I didn't take the tape backing off. I'm just looking at it to make sure it's going to be even. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach. Alright, so it is, when you look at it, it is a little uneven. The back is only ½ inch, the front is 5/8 of an inch. And the reason is because our pages are, get attached that way. So we have this spacing right here, which is 1/4 of an inch. And then you attach it on the back page, so you need that extra space in the front. I'm not going to attach this page to this album. It goes into the first album, but I will show you how to attach it. So we'll take our tag out. So our pocket wasn't attached at the bottom. So this is just going to slide right in. So let me go ahead and zoom in. So again, you're just going to slide it into the pocket, and you're going to come close to that score line but not go over it, so this page will move freely back and forth and have that extra spacing when it's flipped this way because of our 1/4 line right there. So you need that extra spacing. And then you just attach all your pages that way. And then when that's in, your tag will sit right about there. Oh, let me zoom out. So that's it. Oops. So you just slide them in. Don't go over the score line. And that's how the binding works.